What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to today's YouTube video. In today's video, I want to talk about reasons why you should have a Roth IRA to build your wealth over time. So I'm sure you guys know what a Roth IRA account is. However, there are many people that don't. Personally, myself, I did not learn about this until I was 24 years old. Actually, a patient of mine was the one who reached out to me and told me I should open one up. This has really changed my life and my outlook on how I view finances, and I think this will help you too. So, what is a Roth IRA account? A Roth IRA account stands for Individual Retirement Account. Now, this is traditionally separate from your employer-sponsored account, and this is a great way to build wealth over time, especially for those folks that are younger. When we are younger, we have time on our side, and I keep saying that. However, time is very important. So, where can you open up a Roth IRA account? What I would do is I would research trusted brokerages. Personally, I use Vanguard. However, there are many others, TD Ameritrade, Fidelity. There are many great brokerages out there. You just have to find one that you like and go with it. Now, these large investment companies such as Vanguard and Fidelity have really streamlined this process and make it easy for those who don't really understand how to open one up. And if you're confused, they offer a great tool, frequently asked questions section that will really help you out and get you going in the right direction. So what can you invest in within your Roth account? Within your Roth account, you can invest in many different types of funds. One of the first ones would be individual funds. This can include dividend and growth stocks. The other types of funds you can invest in are called mutual or index funds. I personally invest in a index fund called VTSAX, and I can get into this a little bit more in a future video and why I really like this fund. You can also invest in ETFs. Now, ETFs track an index such as mutual funds. However, they are a bit cheaper, and typically these are also a good option. Also, you can invest in target date funds. Now, these are traditionally based off your retirement. So what you do is you pick a date that you plan on retiring at. Now, these stocks or investments, they are a little bit riskier initially as you're younger, and as you get older and closer to your retirement age, these funds become rebalanced and they become less risky as you get closer to that date. Another type of investment you can get into within this account would be real estate. Real estate, there's many different types of real estate, and the nice thing about real estate typically is going to grow as the years go on. Very few times do we see real estate market depreciate in value. As I mentioned, a Roth account is a great vehicle for those investors that are looking long term. Now, one of the biggest tools we have when we're younger is time, and the reason why this is better when we're younger is because when we're younger, we can invest typically smaller amounts and still come out on top when we retire. So the nice thing about a Roth account is there's no minimum required deposit. Now, this is nice because you can start with $5, $10, $15, whatever you want to put in there, you can. Now, there is a limit, there is a max for 2021, and that is $6,000. Now, that's if you make under a certain income per year, and I'll kind of get into that later on in the video. However, what I do personally is I set up recurring payments. So weekly, it comes out of my checking account, and I just don't have to worry about it. I know my money's going to be working for me over a long period of time, and I don't even touch it. I see the Roth IRA as another investment account, another savings account. And the reason for this is because you can simply take out your contributions at any time penalty-free. However, you cannot take out your earnings. And the reason for this is because you will start to pay penalties and fees up to like 10 to 15%. And this is something you don't want to do, especially as you're younger. I would highly encourage you not to pull out of your Roth account while you're younger. You don't want to spoil the compounding interest effect. And I will get into the compounding interest effect a little bit later on in the video. So one of the main reasons it's very important to invest in a Roth account when we're younger is due to a term known as compounding interest. Now you may ask what this is. So compounding interest in simple terms is interest earned on money that has previously already earned interest. Now that might be a little bit of a mouthful. However, you want to see it as a snowballing effect. And I talked about this in my last video. However, when we're younger, it's so important because we have more years to allow that interest to compound. Now, the older we start, the less of an effect this has. So time is on our side. And we always hear it's better to be time in the market than to be timing the market. So let's use an example of how compounding interest would work for us on a much smaller scale. So let's say we invested $1,000 at a 5% interest rate. So if we did not touch that money at the end of the year, we would come up with $50. Now, that's year one. Year two, we would multiply 1,050 by 0.005 or the 5% interest. That time we would come up with 52.5 for the end of the year. Now you can kind of see how this would play out on a much bigger scale. All right, so let's use another example of how compounding interest works. So let's say you invested $5,000, one lump sum, into your Roth account at the age of 20. Now this would be yielding a 5% return. You would have over $163,000 by the time you are 70. That's if you did not touch the money at all and you let the snowballing effect work for you. Now, let's say you did the same thing at the age of 40. Now, this is not too late, but you would have less than $41,000 by the time you retired at the age of 70. Now, you can see the big difference there. So, the main takeaway is to invest early, get started, because I have yet to meet somebody that said they wish they hadn't started sooner. So one neat thing about compounding interest is that Albert Einstein actually was quoted saying that compounding interest is the eighth wonder of the world. So that just shows you how important this is when it comes to your money and allowing it to grow over time. So there are some things to know about the Roth account and the max contributions. So if you make over $140,000 as a single person and $208,000 as a married couple, you legally cannot invest in a Roth account. Now, there is something you can do which is called a backdoor Roth, and this is where you move your money from a traditional IRA to a Roth account. However, this is not something I have to worry about because I don't make over $140,000, although that would be nice. There's plenty of other videos out there and educational bits that will help you if you fall into this category. So there are other benefits to the Roth account for first-time homebuyers. These first-time homebuyers can take up to $10,000 out of their Roth account penalty-free as long as they've had their money in there for 5 taxable years. Now, this is a great alternative if somebody doesn't have $10,000 saved up for a down payment on a house. This is also great because you can take out that $10,000, as we said, without penalty. So what are the key takeaways and why is this so important for young investors? Well, for young investors, we have decades upon decades of compounding interest working for us. This is very important and this is a great wealth builder over time. We have to remember, guys, this is not a get money fast type of scheme. We want to be investing for the long term. Also, another key takeaway is this money, when we take it out, will be tax-free. This is very different from a traditional IRA account. Also, we want to take advantage of all the different tax benefits, including the different tax brackets that we'll be in from a younger age versus when we are older and more settled into our career or whether we have a business. Us younger folks are typically getting out of college, getting our first job, and working our way up through the corporate ladder or whatever it may be. So we have to take advantage of these while we're young. All right, guys, with that being said, thank you for watching this video. I hope you learned something about a Roth account. I hope you get going, get one open. It will do you wonders, I promise. This will lead you in the right step to your financial success. I hope you the best. Thank you. We'll see you next time.